The truth behind Neymar's retirement after World Cup 22. 2022 was a wild year for the Brazilian footballer Neymar, as it seemed his career was about to meet an early end. There were whispers that turned into roars as rumors swirled about his potential retirement from football. At the time, this wasn't just any gossip. It was a genuine possibility fueled by a potent mix of injuries, unfulfilled dreams, and immense pressure. To get a full picture of what might have happened, let's journey back to the periods before 2022, examining the series of events that almost pushed Neymar off the pitch for good. Neymar had quite a break in 2010, leading Santos to their first Campeonato Brasileiro Série A title in 48 years, scoring 17 goals in 33 appearances. During this period, fans cheered the player and saw him as a new Pelé in the making, strengthening the hopes of Brazilians in the tournaments that will follow. But things didn't seem to work out that way. The player got to face a lot of challenges during that period, among which was the failure to make it to the list of selected players that went to South Africa for the World Cup that year. His age was cited as the major cause for this, but fans seemed to have their eyes on what his skills could have done for the team in that tournament. Brazil ended up not going beyond the quarterfinals in that tournament. Many believed that having Neymar on the team could have turned their fortunes, but the challenges that the player faced later on seemed to suggest otherwise. Among the challenges the player faced at the time, getting injured during gameplay seems to have been the major contributor to the series of frustrations the player faced, which had led him to contemplate his place in professional football. Neymar's brilliance has always been shadowed by fragility. Since joining Barcelona in 2013, he's endured a string of debilitating injuries, ranging from metatarsals, ankles, and ACLs, which rendered him incapable of taking part in competitions. However, the player has always managed to bounce back. Each comeback was valiant, but the fear of another blow loomed large. The 2014 World Cup saw yet another injury to the back, raising doubts about his fitness and resilience. Imagine pouring your heart and soul into the sport you love, only for your body to betray you repeatedly. This constant struggle took a toll on Neymar's mental and physical well-being. During the quarterfinal match against Colombia, Neymar received a hard tackle from Juan Camilo Zuniga, resulting in a fractured transverse process of the third lumbar vertebrae. This injury forced him out of the rest of the tournament, including the semifinal loss to Germany. At some point, fans, out of disappointment, started spewing conspiracy theories about some of his injuries, especially as it seemed to cost Brazil a shot at the World Cup trophy. Anyone might think that Neymar only had his career to worry about as he suffered through injuries and inconsistencies on the pitch. But there was much more at stake than that. He bore the hopes of every Brazilian whenever he represented the country in a tournament, and the high expectations that they have on the player didn't make this any easier. Following his performances when he started, Brazilians had started seeing him as their apparent to Pelé, looking upon him as that one man who can finally help the Brazilian team bring home the elusive World Cup trophy. As the time for the 2014 World Cup drew near, tensions were high in Brazil, as it had already been 11 years since they had their last World Cup win in 2002. The 2014 World Cup was held on home soil, intensifying the pressure for the Brazilian team to perform, and if possible, win the trophy for that season. However, no one could have expected what was to follow. The season turned out to be a heart-wrenching failure for both Neymar and the entire Brazilian team. For Neymar, he really did put out a good stance from the start of the competition, following the team up to the semifinals. Unfortunately for Neymar, he suffered a back injury just before the semifinals, making him fit to continue in the competition. That game ended with the Brazilian team's humiliating 7-1 defeat by Germany, and this particular loss remains etched in national memory. Many of the players left the pitch all teary, as this has remained one of the most humiliating defeats ever recorded in the country's history. Out of frustration, Brazilians seemed to take out their anger on the injured Neymar. Somehow, they believed that if the player had been in the game, maybe they would have had some fighting chance. Well, we'll never be able to go back in time and see how that version could have worked out. But from that point, Neymar faced serious pressure to prove himself and restore the faith that people had in him. Over the years, Strong people in the game have vouched for the player's performance, which was the main reason Pelé has expressed his disappointment back in 2010 when Dunga, the coach of the Brazilian team, failed to include him in the list of those that will represent the team in the World Cup. Having such expectations placed on you at such a young age must have been something. With the pressure pushing down on him, there came another opportunity in 2018 for the player to turn the narrative around for his home country during the World Cup. This time, he was able to make it through without an injury. But still, things weren't so great, as they lost in the quarterfinals again. A lot of people were rooting for Brazil to win the trophy that year, but they unfortunately couldn't make it beyond the quarterfinals, losing 2-1 to Belgium. As much as this wasn't a win for Brazil, it was certainly an improvement from the 7-1 loss to Germany. Yet again, the star of the Brazilian team has failed to meet expectations. Just a year later after this tournament, the Copa America was scheduled to be held on Brazilian soil. As you would expect, tensions were high as the Brazilian team hoped to get a shot at redemption. They all hoped that maybe this time, Neymar would be able to make it through. But sadly, during the friendly warm-up match against Qatar, just before the Copa America, Neymar sustained a serious ankle injury. He was carried out of the pitch as he cried in pain. He was later diagnosed with a ruptured ligament in his right ankle. Fortunately for Brazil that year, they made it to the finals and lifted the trophy in the competition. Only they did so without the one person who was believed to have been the key player in the team then. Things didn't get any easier for the player anyway. Every subsequent tournament amplified the pressure, each missed opportunity feeding the narrative of unfulfilled potential. The weight of expectation became a suffocating force, fueling whispers of retirement as a way to escape the constant scrutiny and criticism. By 2022, rumors of Neymar's retirement reached a fever pitch. The last injury seemed like the final straw. Social media was awash with speculation. Interviews hinted at disillusionment, and even teammates like Rodrigo spoke of his potential departure. The player himself did hint in an interview he had in 2022 that he might just quit after the 2022 World Cup with Brazil that season. The way he said it, it was almost certain that that was the last time he would be seen playing. However, we saw the player make another appearance in the 2023 World Cup qualifier for Brazil, and just like other times, Neymar had to be carried off the pitch after he sustained a major injury. Despite the setbacks, Neymar remained dedicated to his craft, his love for the game burning bright. He underwent successful surgery for the injury he sustained during the match with Uruguay, vowing to return stronger. Within the period he faced challenges with the Brazilian team, he was also struggling to find his place in the big leagues, from Barcelona to PSG. Neymar currently pitches his tent with Al Hilal in the Saudi League. His major ACL and meniscus tear occurred while playing for Brazil in October 2023 during the World Cup qualifiers against Uruguay. He underwent surgery soon after and is currently undergoing rehabilitation, expected to be out for several months and miss the remainder of the season. Neymar's story is a glimpse of the immense pressure these players face inside and out of the pitch. It would be a step in the right direction if fans can realize these and help them as much as possible. The 2022 saga showed the world the vulnerability of a sporting icon. We saw the immense pressure, the toll of injuries, and doubts that clouded even the brightest stars. Among all, we also witnessed Neymar's resilience, his love for the game, and his refusal to give up on his dreams. While he didn't retire in 2022, the experience served as a turning point. A reminder that even the most gifted athletes are human, and their journeys are filled with both triumph and struggle. This chapter adds another layer to Neymar's already captivating story, reminding us that the beautiful game is more than just goals and trophies. It's a tapestry woven with passion, perseverance, and the fight to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Do you think Neymar should have followed through with quitting the Brazilian national team? And do you believe that sustaining another injury might be the final straw for the player? Share your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, enjoy the thrills of the game.